Hi everyone, it's Mr. Flint back again in part 2 of our video series of how to deliver an effective presentation. In our first video, I showed you the components of an effective presentation, keeping in mind that the focus is on the connection between you and the audience you're speaking to. It's not about fancy slideshows. You want to make sure the pictures you use are photographs, that they have meaning. You're not trying to put too much information on the slides. You certainly don't want to read from your slides. Keep the bullets, keep the text you have to short phrases, and you want to do most of the talking. You don't want to have to just read your slides because that's not very respectful to your audience. You also don't want to have fancy transitions or fly-ins because all of those things distract from your message, and you want to keep the connection again between you and your audience. We also looked at another sample slideshow and how it rated, and if you had a chance to discuss it. So now what I want to do is go back to that presentation before I do this one and talk a little bit about how effective it was. So just how effective was that presentation? Well, let's take a look. Let's look at the overall presentation of the slide. Notice that I have some very dull gray background, not very appealing to the eyes, and I have some dark text. Dark text with gray background. While it isn't bad to look at, it's kind of like looking at a stormy thunder. It's kind of looking at a dark thundercloud. It's not very appealing to look at. So while it's not terrible, it definitely could be better. Now you notice that transition I just used. That's while it's quick, there's a lot going on. It can be distracting to the viewer. So in this case, as we look at more, you notice that all of my slide transitions were different. That one was slow. This one was different. When you have different transitions and slow transitions between slides, it's distracting. So you want to keep them simple, and you want to keep them all the same. Now, as far as the text that I used, you'll notice that I have a lot of complete sentences. 60% of the world's polar bears live in Canada. Okay, so that's a complete sentences. Polar bears hunt seals in openings in the ice called leads. So instead of that full sentence, what I could have had was polar bears hunting, or how polar bears hunt. And then I could have told you about the leads rather than just read it to you. So the sentences, while they're not overly long, they definitely could be shorter, and I did read them to you. You want to, if you're presenting something, you definitely want to be doing the one talking, not having the slides do the talking for you. So yes, distracting, and there aren't a lot of pictures either. This one, no pictures. This one, no pictures. So let's just see if we get some pictures coming up. Alright, now we have a picture, but you notice it's clip art. So it doesn't exactly make you want to take me very seriously. So a photograph would have been a lot better, it would have been a visual that would have delivered the point a lot better than just simple clip art. And you'll notice that in this slide I used the fly-ins, which is definitely a no-no. And some of these fly-ins are very slow and take a long time to come up to the screen, which is going to slow me down even more. So this slideshow could definitely be improved, and I hope that's what it matched up when you had your discussion moments ago. Now, if you thought the previous presentation was a good one, and it had some good qualities, and it didn't exactly match up with what we just talked about, that's okay, we're here to learn. So this next presentation, which I'm about to give you, will be good for comparison, so you might see what a better presentation looks like. I want you to listen to it, and I want you to rate it on its qualities about how effective it is based on what we've been learning about. So here goes. Polar bears, our neighbors to the north. Polar bears have several adaptations to help them survive in the cold. Their fur has 2 different layers to it, so it's like when you go out to the cold in the cold weather, You might have a sweatshirt on and then a jacket underneath it, and several layers help you stay warm. Well, the same is for polar bears. Their ears are tiny, so they don't lose a lot of heat, which also goes for their tail as well. It helps them conserve the heat. Polar bears are excellent swimmers. From their webbed paws to their bodies, which are buoyant, which means they can float in water, and their fur helps keep them nice and warm, even though the water is very cold. Remember, they do a lot of their hunting in the ocean, so it helps to be a good swimmer. Now, polar bears can't talk to each other like you and I can, but they do a very good job of communicating. They wag their heads to signal each other to get each other's attention. They often go up to each other nose to nose, and it could indicate that they're friendly towards one another. Or if they're roaring very loudly, it could indicate that they are upset with one another, and that would tell one polar bear to stay away from the other. So that ends the presentation, and what I want you to do, again, is have a discussion with someone next to you, your group, or with your teacher about how effective this presentation was. The colors, the slide transitions, the text, the pictures. Did I read the slides to you, or did I do more of the talking to help deliver the message better? Okay, so I'm just going to have your teacher hit pause on the video and have your discussion, and then just click play when you are ready to move on. So now that you've had a chance to talk, let's look back at this presentation and see how well it matched up with what you discussed. So, the colors that I used. Now, while the previous presentation about polar bears wasn't bad, the gray and the black, hopefully you can see that the dark color background with the light text is definitely more appealing to the eye, and it just makes it easier to look at, and you have a better chance of communicating your message. Notice that the transitions are all the same, they're all simple, they're not distracting, you probably didn't even notice them, and that's what you want. You don't want to take attention away from your message. I have many pictures in this presentation, and the pictures help deliver a point. They're not just to look nice. In this case, when I'm talking about the fur, you can actually see it. When I'm talking about the ears and the tail, well, you can see how the ears are small, which helps communicate my point rather than just me writing it or saying it. Notice that there's a lot of empty space in these slides, and that's a good thing. You don't have to fill up every single nook and cranny of your slide. Have some blank space. That's okay. The text here is so small, I just talked about swimming. I typed it, and then I did the rest of the speaking myself. Now, it's okay to use some bullets, but I kept my words very, very small, so it helps me think about what I want to say, and then I can communicate that to you by talking to you, and again, connecting with you. And it's all about that personal connection you make with your audience. So, this presentation, hopefully when you talk to your group members or your teacher, that you thought it was a much more effective presentation, and deservedly so. It follows the research that I did to help you deliver an effective presentation. So there you have it, the qualities of an effective presentation. For your next presentation, I'd like you to try to include as many of these qualities as you can. Maybe even if it's just one or two, I think you're going to improve the overall quality of your presentation and communicate your message more effectively than you would have before. And it's a process, so over the next couple years as you move on to middle school, upper elementary, middle school, high school, and beyond, even as an adult, you could use these research best practices to deliver presentations. So good luck with your next project, and I hope that your next presentation is an effective one. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.